Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into what is honestly a thrilling, almost cartoon-style hero's journey, the story of Apple. We're going to explore how a young student's absolute obsession with electronics sparked one of the greatest corporate adventures in human history. So this isn't just your standard timeline of computers, right? It's a massive story of innovation, entrepreneurship, and just incredible persistence.
And, this origin story is a total masterclass in how creativity, technology, and some seriously sharp business strategy can completely transform our world. We're talking about a journey that scales up from the absolute humblest of settings, literally just a dusty garage, into a trillion-dollar global behemoth. But to really understand the giant, we've first got to understand the architect.
Because the foundation for Apple's legendary design, well, it wasn't born in some fancy corporate boardroom. It actually started way back in childhood. Born in San Francisco in 1955, Steve Jobs developed this early, really intense fascination with electronics. But the true secret ingredient here was actually his father. His dad taught him all about craftsmanship and this fierce attention to detail. Those early lessons at a workbench, that's what really planted the seeds for the perfectionism that would totally define Apple later on.
And as we'll see, stepping off the traditional path can sometimes be the absolute best move you can make. Back in 1972, Jobs actually dropped out of Reed College after just one semester. The traditional education route just wasn't really matching his vibe or his interests. Instead, he went on this sort of secret side quest, dropping in on a calligraphy course. No way he could have known it at the time, but that creative exploration became the direct inspiration for Apple's beautiful typography. Kind of proves that following your curiosity really does pay off, doesn't it?
Now, every comic book hero needs an ally, right? And in 1976, the ultimate tag team was officially formed. Jobs partnered up with an engineering genius named Steve Wozniak, a guy who just absolutely loved building computers from scratch. Along with co-founder Ronald Wayne, they created Apple Computer, and it was just the perfect fusion. Wozniak brought the raw, unfiltered technological brilliance, and Jobs, he brought the business vision and that core design philosophy. Together, they literally had exactly what it took to start a revolution.
And this right here is what leveling up really looks like. Their very first product, the Apple I, was essentially sold as just a bare motherboard. It was really strictly for hardcore hobbyists. But man, did they evolve rapidly. The Apple II came along and it was a massive success because it did something totally unprecedented. It successfully dragged personal computers out of the geeky garages and right into the living rooms of everyday, ordinary people. A total game changer. Then came the year that changed absolutely everything. 1984. The launch of the Macintosh completely revolutionized the world. How? By introducing a graphical user interface and a mouse. Think about that for a second. Before the Mac, you had to type these obscure, clunky commands into a blinking black screen. The Mac made computing visual, it made it intuitive, and most importantly, it made it accessible to everyone. But, every great epic has its dark chapter. After some really severe conflicts with Apple's leadership in 1985, our story takes a dramatic, almost unthinkable plunge. Steve Jobs actually leaves the very company he founded. Yeah. It forces us to ask a pretty profound question. What happens when a company loses its driving visionary? How does a creative powerhouse even survive without the person who literally gave it its soul?
Well, during those exile years, Jobs definitely didn't just fade away. He leveled up again. While Apple was honestly struggling financially and totally losing its direction without him, Jobs was busy founding a brand new computer company called Next. And on top of that, he got involved with this little graphics group called Pixar. Maybe you've heard of it. He helped transform Pixar into the massively successful animation powerhouse we know today. So yeah, he was out of Apple, but he was relentlessly sharpening his skills in both technology and entertainment.
And all of that exile, it perfectly set the stage for an epic comeback. In 1997, with Apple literally on the brink of financial ruin, they make a super bold move. They acquire Next, and in doing so, they bring Jobs back. His very first order of business was to stop the bleeding. He ruthlessly simplified their incredibly confusing product line and redirected the entire company toward fierce, uncompromising innovation. He was finally back to save his creation.
And the results? They were immediate. In 1998, the iMac burst onto the scene, and I mean burst. At a time when basically every other computer on the market was this boring, ugly beige box, this translucent, brightly colored machine restored the company's vibrant image practically overnight. It proved, once and for all, that technology could be a beautiful design statement, something you were actually proud to show off in your living room.
That success was the spark. It set off the most explosive, rapid-fire string of world-changing innovations in modern business history. Seriously. In 2001, the iPod and iTunes completely transformed the entire music industry. Then, 2007, the iPhone combines a phone, an internet communicator, and a music player into one single piece of glass. Mind-blowing at the time. And by 2010, the iPad creates a brand new tablet market out of thin air. In less than a single decade, they totally rewrote the rules for music, communication, and computing.
Sadly, Steve Jobs passed away in 2011, but he left behind a legacy defined entirely by one core philosophy: simplicity, user experience, and creating products people genuinely love. And let me be clear, this wasn't just some clever marketing slogan. It was the company's absolute DNA. It anchored everything they did right down to how the end user felt the exact second they opened the box.
Fast forward to today, and that solid foundation has built one of the world's most valuable companies. Under Tim Cook's leadership, Apple has expanded way beyond just hardware. They are pushing deep into services, they're designing their own custom silicon chips, advancing artificial intelligence, and tying it all together into this massive, seamless global ecosystem. That little garage project, it's basically a global nervous system now.
So, to pull some truly actionable takeaways from this amazing journey, let's look at 5 core lessons. First, great companies solve real problems. Second, the design and user experience of that solution matter deeply. Third, and this is big, remember that failure, even getting kicked out of your own creation, can be the exact foundation you need for future success. Fourth, a long-term vision is absolutely essential to navigate the tough times. And finally, true innovation requires immense courage.
As we wrap up this explainer on Apple's incredible ascent from a humble California garage to a global titan, I want to leave you with a quick question. Which of these lessons can you apply right now to level up your own bold ideas? What is your own personal garage project? And do you have the courage to see it through? Think about it. Keep learning, keep innovating, and we will definitely catch you in the next explainer.